Kaito Yamamoto rejected the gods. He learned the truth about his parents, murdered not by enemies, but by the former headmaster of his own academy. A traitor leading the cult of oblivion, working to free Kaito's grandfather, the original Void Sovereign. The clock is ticking. 6 months until the divine prison fails. And Kaito has decided he won't wait for the storm. He's walking straight into it. They left before dawn. No announcement, no permission, no academy approval. 4 people walking out of the most protected institution in the Empire to hunt a man who had evaded gods, emperors, and assassins for 20 years. It was either the bravest decision in academy history, or the most suicidal. Their destination, the Ashfall Mountains, 300 miles north. According to Yuki, the cult of oblivion had operated from a hidden sanctuary built into the mountain's volcanic tunnels. A network so vast and so heavily warded that even the gods' surveillance couldn't penetrate it. It was also where Kaito's father had fought his last battle 20 years ago, where he had died strengthening the seals, where the former headmaster had betrayed him. "We should talk strategy," Arya said, unwrapping a field ration. "Walking into a cult stronghold that survived for 10,000 years without a plan is how people die." "Agreed," Ren added. "What do we actually know about this place?" All eyes turned to Yuki. "The Ashfall Sanctuary was built during the first Void Sovereign's reign," Yuki explained. "Originally a place of worship. After Kazuki's imprisonment, his followers retreated there. They've been preparing for his return ever since." "For 10,000 years?" Ren asked, disbelief in his voice. "Fanaticism doesn't have an expiration date. The cult passes its mission through generations. New leaders rise. New followers are recruited. The goal never changes." "A free Kazuki," Kaito said flatly. "Yes, and the former headmaster, his name is Morath, became their leader approximately 40 years ago. He infiltrated the academy specifically to get close to your family's bloodline. My father trusted him." "Your father considered him a mentor." "Morath spent decades earning that trust, waiting for the perfect moment to use it." "And what do we do when we find Morath?" Arya asked carefully, her gaze fixed on Kaito. The question hung in the air. Everyone knew she wasn't asking about tactics. She was asking about intent. "We stop the cult," Kaito answered. "We learn what they know about the prison. We find out how close they are to freeing Kazuki." "And Morath himself?" Silence. "He murdered my parents." "That's not an answer, Kaito. It's the only one I have right now." Arya held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Fair enough. But when the moment comes, make sure it's you making the choice. Not the Void. Not your grandfather. You." Kaito said nothing. But somewhere in the darkness of his mind, Kazuki's voice whispered, "She's wise, your little Ice Queen, but wisdom won't save her from what's coming." They reached Havenbrook on the 3rd day, a mining village. 2,000 people. The last settlement before the Ashfall Mountains. It should have been bustling with activity. Instead, it was a graveyard without the graves. "This happened within the last day," Yuki murmured, her staff sweeping across the ground, reading vibrations the others couldn't sense. "Possibly hours. 2,000 people don't just vanish," Ren said, his golden aura flickering nervously. "They do when something takes them," Arya replied, ice forming unconsciously along her fingertips. Kaito knelt beside a doorstep, touched the ground. The Void responded immediately and recoiled. Something happened here. Something even the Void doesn't want to touch. "What do you mean?" Ren asked. "The energy in the ground. It's not death. It's not destruction. It's extraction." like something pulled the life force out of every living thing in this village. A mass sacrifice, Yuki said quietly. Everyone turned to her. The cult of oblivion practiced this in the ancient texts, a ritual called the Harvest of Souls. Thousands of lives drained simultaneously, their essence channeled toward the divine prison. To weaken the seals, to shatter them. Yuki's blind face was grim. The 6-month estimate the gods gave you, I believe it just became considerably shorter. The message was clear. The cult wasn't hiding anymore. They were announcing themselves. 2,000 souls, harvested like wheat, fed to Kazuki's prison like fuel to a fire. And if they could do this to one village, how many others had already burned? The entrance to the Ashfall Sanctuary was exactly where Yuki remembered. The protective wards that had once hidden it were failing, damaged by the same energy surge that was weakening Kazuki's prison. The cult's secrecy was crumbling, which meant they no longer needed it. The tunnels went deep, miles below the surface. With every step, Kaito felt the void growing stronger, wilder. The connection to his grandfather pulsing like a second heartbeat. He knows we're here, Kaito said. Kazuki? Arya asked. Not Kazuki, Morath. The tunnels are alive with surveillance magic. He's been watching since we entered the mountains. Then why hasn't he stopped us? Kaito's expression darkened. Because he wants us to come. They weren't dead. That was the worst part. 2,000 people, men, women, children, encased in crystalline prisons, alive but hollow. Their life force being siphoned continuously, channeled through the volcanic conduit toward something far below, toward the prison, toward Kazuki. They're batteries, Ren whispered, horror breaking through his composure. Living batteries for a ritual. Can we free them? Arya asked, ice already forming around her hands, ready to shatter the cocoons. Don't! Yuki's voice was sharp. The cocoons are keeping them alive. Break the connection now, and the shock will kill them instantly. Then how? We stop the source. We find Morath. We end the ritual. Then, and only then, the cocoons will release naturally. Kaito stared at the rows of imprisoned villagers, innocent people, used as fuel, and the rage inside him burned hotter than the volcano above. Kaito, stay with us. Arya's hand on his arm, cool, grounding, the ice in her touch pushing back against the fire in his blood. He looked at her. For a moment, just a moment. The rage dimmed. I'm here, he said. Then let's finish this. Together. He nodded. But in his mind, Kazuki laughed softly. Together. How touching. Let's see how long that lasts. They found him at the bottom of the world, sitting on a throne of obsidian in a cathedral of fire, waiting, smiling. Morath. 20 years ago, this man had been the most respected educator in the Empire. Beloved by students, trusted by parents. Admired by colleagues, 20 years ago, this man had looked Kaito's father in the eyes and betrayed him. Now, he sat on a throne built from the suffering of thousands, and he was delighted to see them. Kaito Yamamoto, Morath's voice echoed through the cathedral, refined, cultured, the voice of a man who had spent decades pretending to be civilized. You have your father's eyes. Well, you used to. Yours have rather more crimson now, don't they? You murdered my parents. I facilitated a necessary transition. Your father's blood was required to maintain the seals. His sacrifice was regrettable, but essential. And your mother, well, childbirth is dangerous, isn't it? The temperature in the chamber dropped 20 degrees. Not from Morath, from Arya. Ice was spreading from her feet across the floor. her rage manifesting before her discipline could contain it. Morath glanced at her with mild amusement. An Ice Empress heir. How quaint. And is that a divine blessing I sense? The Takahashi boy? My, Kaito. You've assembled quite the little team. I've waited 20 years for this moment, Morath continued, descending the steps of his throne. Not for your arrival specifically, but for what your arrival represents. And what's that? The final piece. Morath raised his hand. A projection appeared. The divine prison, Kazuki's chains, the seals. Your grandfather's prison requires 3 things to shatter completely. First, sufficient soul energy to weaken the divine seals. The harvest of souls has provided that beautifully. The projection zoomed in on the chains. Second, the blood of the void. Sovereign's lineage, given willingly or taken by force. With his, grandfather and grandson, united by blood and darkness. You want to use me as a key. I want to use you as a bomb. Your power, detonated at the prison's threshold, would shatter seals that have held for 10 millennia. I would never, willingly, no, but willingness is a matter of perspective. You walked into my sanctuary, Morath said, through my tunnels, past my wards. Did you think I wasn't watching? Did you think I wasn't prepared? I told you he wanted us to come, Kaito muttered. Yes, you did, Morath agreed pleasantly, and I'm so grateful you obliged. Ren's golden aura blazed to life. Arya's ice spread in defensive formations. Yuki's staff hummed with ancient power. They were surrounded, outnumbered, deep underground with no retreat. But Morath's attention wasn't on them. It was on Kaito. Only Kaito. Your grandfather wants to meet you, Kaito, and I've spent 20 years preparing the introduction. The battle erupted like the volcano above them. Ren fought with a fury Kaito had never seen, the golden prodigy tearing through cultists who had sacrificed their humanity for stolen power. Arya was a storm of ice and precision, every movement calculated, every attack lethal. The Ice Empress bloodline at full display, freezing enemies solid and shattering them without hesitation. And Yuki, ancient, blind Yuki, moved through the chaos like a ghost. 200 years of combat experience condensed into each strike. Cultists fell before they even saw her move. But for every enemy that dropped, 3 more emerged from the shadows. Morath wasn't fighting, he was watching, waiting for his moment. Kaito fought, and the void fed. Every cultist carried fragments of consumed souls. When Kaito's power touched them, the void devoured those fragments, absorbed them, grew. And with each absorption, Kaito felt himself expanding, his senses sharpening, his power deepening. It felt incredible, it felt right, and that terrified him more than any enemy. Yes, Kazuki's voice surged through his mind, louder than ever. More. Take everything they stole. It's wasted on these insects. It belongs to us. Get out of my head. I'm not in your head. I am your head. I am your blood. I am the power you were born to wield. Stop fighting yourself and become what you are. A cultist lunged. Kaito's hand moved on instinct, not his instinct. Void energy erupted. The cultist didn't just fall. He was unmade, erased from existence. Not killed, deleted, as if he had never been born. Total annihilation. Not death, erasure. The cultist's body, soul, history, gone. Consumed by the void entirely. Kaito stared at his own hand. He hadn't meant to do that. He hadn't even known he could do that. Beautiful, Kazuki whispered. You see, this is what we are. This is what the gods feared. not death, oblivion. I didn't want... Want is irrelevant. You are this. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you... Shut up! The eruption caught everyone off guard. Kaito's power exploded outward, uncontrolled, undirected, fueled by panic. The cathedral shook. Cultists were thrown like leaves. Even Morath staggered, his smile faltering for the first time. Arya hit a wall, hard. Ren was buried underwater. Yuki alone remained standing, her staff planted deep in cracking stone, her ancient barriers absorbing what they could. And in the center of the chaos, Kaito fell to his knees, the same position he'd been in at the start of his story. Kneeling, surrounded by destruction. But this time, the destruction was his. Morath walked through the destruction like a man strolling through a garden. While Kaito fought himself, while his friends lay injured, the High Priest of Oblivion had been shielded by thousands of consumed souls. He knelt beside Kaito, not threatening, almost gentle, like a teacher comforting a student, the way he had once comforted Kaito's father. "You see the problem now, don't you?" Morath said softly. "The power inside you doesn't distinguish between enemy and friend, monster and innocent. It simply consumes." "Get away from me." Your grandfather fought this same battle. For years, he tried to control it, tried to be the hero. And every time he lost control, even for a moment, people died. I'm not him. Not yet, but look around you. Kaito looked. Arya bleeding, Ren unconscious, Yuki barely standing, all because of his eruption, his power. The gods want to seal you away. Your grandfather wants to use you. Your friends want to believe in you. But none of them can protect you from the truth. What truth? Morath leaned closer. His empty black eyes reflected Kaito's crimson ones. That the void will consume everything you love. Not because it's evil. Because that's what it is. An infinite hunger with no off switch. Your grandfather learned that lesson. Your father tried to deny it and died. And you. He stood. You're already starting to understand. The trap closed before Kaito could react. A binding circle, not designed for any mage, designed specifically for void blood. Prepared 20 years in advance. Tested. Perfected. Morath hadn't been unprepared. He had been waiting. I spent 20 years studying your bloodline, Morath said, his voice now filled with terrible joy. 20 years preparing this circle. Your father's blood, collected the night he died. It's built into these runes. Your power, and his power, and your grandfather's power, all the same frequency. All bound by the same blood. What are you doing? What I've been planning since before you were born. Using the Void Sovereign's blood to shatter the prison from the outside. The gods think they have 6 months. They're wrong. Morath's hands began to glow with stolen soul energy. With your power as the catalyst and 2,000 harvested souls as fuel, the prison falls tonight. Far below, in the depths of the divine prison, Kazuki felt the ritual activate. His chains trembled. The seals, weakened by months of soul harvesting, began to fracture. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the first Void Sovereign stood. Kaito! Arya's scream cut through the chaos. She hurled everything she had at the binding circle. Ice, force, her entire bloodline's power. Nothing. The ritual was designed for the void. Mortal magic, even A-rank magic, it couldn't touch it. Kaito was trapped, his power being siphoned, channeled downward, feeding the very prison break he had come here to prevent. Morath had turned his greatest strength into the instrument of his grandfather's freedom. And there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. Kaito's hand moved, not by choice, by blood. The void connecting grandfather and grandson, pulling them together across dimensions. Kazuki's power and Kaito's power merging, the prison crumbling. Arya screaming, Yuki collapsing, Morath laughing, and somewhere in the divine realm, 7 gods felt the prison break. In the space between moments, between heartbeats, between dimensions, Kaito stopped. His hand, his blood, his void demanded he complete the connection, free his grandfather, embrace the power. Every instinct, every cell, every strand of inherited destiny screamed at him to take the hand. And Kaito said no. Not because he was strong enough to resist, but because he remembered a voice, not Kazuki's, not the gods, not even his father's, Arya's voice. Bloodlines are not destinies. We inherit power. We don't inherit choices. The ritual cracked. Not broken, not stopped, but cracked. Kaito had done something no Void Sovereign had ever done. He had denied the Void itself, and it cost him everything. The cathedral was collapsing. The ritual's disruption had destabilized the entire volcanic network. Magma surging, tunnels caving in. Yuki carried Kaito, 200 years old, and carrying a 17-year-old boy through a collapsing volcano, fueled by nothing but duty and desperation. Arya cleared the path. Ren held the rear. And Morath did not follow. Not because he couldn't, because he didn't need to. Kaito found the man who murdered his parents, but what he discovered was far worse than a single traitor. The cult of oblivion has harvested thousands of souls. The divine prison is cracked. Kazuki is closer to freedom than ever, and Morath, the patient, calculating monster who orchestrated everything, is still out there. But Kaito did the impossible. He denied the void itself. He broke a ritual designed to shatter divine seals. He proved that willpower can defy destiny. The question is, at what cost? His power is changing, the crimson is spreading, and somewhere in the depths of a cracked prison, his grandfather is smiling. Part 5 is coming, and everything, the gods, the cult, the prison, the truth about Kaito's power, it all comes to a head. Subscribe now, hit that bell. You do not want to miss what happens next. And tell me in the comments, was Kaito right to deny the void? Or did he just delay the inevitable? See you in the next chapter.